Hello everybody, I'm Jessica from Truth at Home. Welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to give you a tour of our home. Now I had given a tour a few years ago and we still live in the same home, but enough significant changes have been made in our home that I felt like I wanted to give you another tour to show you what those changes are. For those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for a while, you might be wondering where I've been, what's been going on. Maybe you've been worried about me. Nothing to worry about. It's just life. I recently had a baby. He is so adorable. He's 2 months old now. And the whole entire time I was pregnant with him, I just felt like I couldn't do that much. I was exhausted most of the time, and I had enough energy for the barest things, for the bare minimum, just to survive is how I felt most of the time. So that left, making YouTube videos out. So finally, he's 2 months old. I'm finally starting to get to the point to where I feel like I can, do a little bit more. Anyway, so let's get into this tour. First off, we're going to go to the master bedroom. In this room, this is where you will see this whole wall that the paint has been peeled off of. And we did that on purpose. I mean to repaint it because at first when we painted the wall, I didn't realize how easy it is for paint to peel off of wallpaper. And there are ways that you can keep that from happening, but I didn't know about that at first. So I plan on, doing some things so that I can repaint that wall green, which I love. I love that color green. And maybe little by little, do each wall and fix each one. So we'll see how that goes. For right now, though, it's really ugly. So just please, don't judge me. Anyways, this is a pretty small master bedroom. We do have a small walk-in closet. We have a king-sized bed. I mean, maybe you are amazed that we're able to fit that in such a small bedroom. But we can't fit much else. So we have the crib in here where the 2-year-old sleeps. And then the 2-month-old sleeps with us in our bed. And that's why it needs to be a king size so that we have enough room, for us. And then my husband and I share a dresser. And I have some clothes for the 2-year-old in some plastic drawers, and the clothes for the 2-month-old are in another drawer, plastic drawers also in the closet. So we make it work. I mean, everything has its place, everything fits. I try to keep everything nice and neat. So as we go from the master bedroom into the closet, let me explain a few things. So this closet used to be the boys' bedroom before. If you saw my previous tour of our tiny home video, you can see how my boys used to have their bunk bed in this bedroom. Well, we changed some things. We decided to make this small bedroom, which is the smallest bedroom we have in this house. We decided to turn it into a closet for all of the children's clothes, shoes, their special items that are just their own in their special boxes, in order to keep all that stuff together. And it's been maybe a year since we made this change. And I am really happy that we did. It has been really great to just have all of that stuff in one spot. And I've really been working hard on this to train the children to keep their things put away. But on those days where for some reason they don't keep their things put away, the nice thing is I can just close the door and it's out of sight, out of mind. In the same room, we also keep our sheets for the beds and curtains and tablecloths, games and puzzles, all in this room because I don't have any other shelf to put that, so I keep that all on that one shelf. Okay, moving on. Next down the hall is the girls' bedroom, and we were able to organize everything in this room so that all the girls are in this one room. So we have 2 bunk beds, which is a total of 4 twin mattresses and a crib. So 5 girls total are in this room. This room used to have some of their clothes in it. Well, actually, it used to have all of their clothes in it. There was a clothes rack for some of their clothes, and then there was a couple dressers, and then there was their shoes, and it just felt so crowded and cluttered all the time. It I don't know, it wasn't a peaceful feeling environment. So that's when I decided to move everything to the one other bedroom and just have this bedroom be just their beds, with the exception of one tall dresser that I was able to fit beside the bunk bed for the youngest girl's things. She's 4. And that has worked out really well. So most of the time this bedroom stays clean, nice and neat. I'm really enjoying this change. And then after the bedroom, we move out of the hallway and come to the living room. Recently we were able to update the flooring. So it used to have carpet in it, and we pulled the carpet out and were able, thankfully, to put in some, I don't know what you call this stuff. Is it vinyl wood flooring? I think that's what you call it. Anyways, it's the faux wood flooring, and it matches the dining room flooring. I would love to be able to put this in our whole house, but this is where we're at right now. So at least we have the dining and living, and we'll see what we do with the rest of the house later on. I don't know. So we got the futon couches for the 2 boys. So you know how I said that we took the 2 boys out of the small bedroom and we moved all the girls into the 1 bedroom. Well, where does that leave the boys? So we have an 18-year-old and a 12-year-old, and there's a futon mattress for each of them in the living room. So you fold the couch out and it becomes a bed, a full-size bed, and we have one for the 12-year-old and one for the 18-year-old. Recently, the 18-year-old moved out, so he's independent now, kind of. That's for another video maybe. And I no longer need that futon mattress, but it will be useful for later. We also got a nice little rug to put in the middle, and we took out the middle shelf of the bookshelves and we put our computer desk right there. So it used to be a complete shelf, complete shelving system or complete cabinet system where the TV had a spot right for the middle. Well, we took out that cabinet and we got rid of that, and instead we put the monitor and the computer desk and those shelves you see above it. I think you can see in the picture above it, and that really helped us save a lot of space. So then I didn't have to look for an extra spot to put the desk and the TV monitor. Now I just could put it right there, and we use the TV monitor for our computer as well. So it doubles as a computer monitor and a TV monitor. We just change it where we need to use it either way. Okay, so we got a new chair for our desk. I'm so happy about that. And some new curtains for our windows. I think those are the main changes in the living room. And then as we move from there to the dining room, you're going to see that we have a new table. And I love this table. What is so awesome about it is that it fits our dining room specifically for that space. So my oldest son, he made that dining room table, and he made it specified to fit right there. We took some, what do you call those? Pallets. Okay, we took some pallets, a whole bunch that we were able to get someplace. And we took them all apart. Well, I didn't. He did. He took them all apart, and he used the little pieces that he nailed onto another piece of wood, a flat piece of wood, to make the top for this table. And he made the frame by himself, the underneath part. He glued all the pieces on. He put this trim around it, and then he put this epoxy on it to make the table have this smooth, hard surface. So you can spill anything on it, and it's not going to affect the wood at all. It's a completely hard, see-through surface. So I love this table, and now that we have this nice long table, we can fit all 10 chairs at this table, 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and then we just pull the baby high chair out to put him at the end. Let me see. Going to the kitchen, not much has changed here. I mean, not much to comment on. It's basically the same. You may want to watch my managing a small kitchen video. I'll link to that in the description box below on how I manage with a large family and having such a small kitchen. It's not really as hard as you might think. Okay, and then Our washroom is back behind the kitchen. I'm not going to worry about showing that to you right now. There's not really much to it. It's just a dryer and a washer and some shelves and the dog food. Like, I don't think you need to see that. So moving from the kitchen and dining room area, let's go down to the schoolroom. We call it the schoolroom or the playroom. I think mostly we call it the playroom because that's where the kids have their toys. We have one metal shelf where they keep all their toys on. We also have some toys on the tops of our bookshelves, and that's it for their toys. I mean, if we get more toys than that, that's when we have to start looking at, okay, what can we get rid of? We also keep all of our school books in this room. We have a piano keyboard. We have a freezer. Oh, that's new. Got a new freezer, which was great. Because of the dent in the door, we were able to get it half price, which was awesome. And the dog cages. And that's all that's in this room. And that's basically our house. So thank you for coming with me on this tour. I was really happy to show you the changes that we've made to our home in the past few years. You may be wondering why I decided to show you photos instead of just taking you on a video tour. And I could have done the video tour, but I thought about it and I realized, you know what? For me to be able to get my house, all the rooms in my house, all picked up for this video is going to take a lot of effort. You know, so if you are a mother of kids, you know what I'm talking about, that you might get one room picked up and it's going to stay clean for about 5 minutes until the kids come and they, you know, pull more toys out or whatever. And much less likely are you to have every room in your house clean at the same time. I've done it before. If you watch the other tour of my home video, you can see that it's almost all cleaned up. And that did take quite a bit of effort. Mostly our house is in various states of cleanness and tidiness. It's always just a work in progress. There's always something that needs to be cleaned, something that needs to be put away. It's never, almost never at least, always all the way picked up and clean all throughout the whole entire house, all at the same time. So I thought, you know what, it's just going to be so much easier if I just take the photos after we get that room picked up, and then I can show you all the photos. Let me see. Okay, the next part of this video, I would like to talk about tips for how to live in a small home with a large family. So after the birth of our newest, who is 2 months, we now have 9 children. And we have been living in this same home since we had 5. So we've gone from 5 to 9 in the time we've been living here. It's not possible for us at this point to move to a larger home. Yes, that would be wonderful if we could just pack up and move and, you know, but it's not possible for us. And I think that it might be the same for some of you too. You'd like to move to a different home or a larger home and you just can't do it. So you need to make your home that you are currently living in, you need to make it work out for you. So I'm going to give you some tips of things that I have found useful. Maybe you will find these useful for yourself too. Okay, so I'm going to start out with 3 practical tips for the physical space of your home. And then afterwards, I'm going to give 3 practical tips for your emotional and mental health living in a small home. Okay, so let's start with the practical tips for your physical space. The first tip I want to give you is to declutter and simplify. Now, this is huge. What I do is if I have 2 of something, I get rid of 1. You know, you might have 2 of something that's very similar, like 2 baby seats. Why do you need 2? Why don't you just pick the one that you use the most and get rid of the other one? Sometimes I do decide to keep 2 of something for a very good reason, but most of the time, if I have 2 of something that is just, they're so similar, I'll just get rid of 1. Also, we try to simplify things to just what we need. You know, if there's something that I've noticed, you know, we're not really using this, it's just sitting around and it's serving no practical purpose, I just get rid of it. I do make a few exceptions for things that are of significant emotional value to me. That when I look at them, every time I look at them, it just brings joy to my heart. It brings a special memory to mind. I do have a few of those things. For example, a few things from our wedding. I have a few nostalgic items that when I look at it, it just reminds me of that special day, and it serves a purpose for me in that way. For most of our house though, I just choose to keep things that have a practical purpose that we're actually using. If we haven't used it for more than a year, it's going out. So declutter and simplify is one of the biggest things that you can do to help yourself to have some peace living in a small home with a large family. Another thing that we do, tip number two, is keep things clean and make a chore chart. When you're living in a small home and it's messy, it's really messy, So I like to keep on top of keeping things clean. So towards this end, I made a chore chart for my children, and each child has a thing to do every day. And I have to make sure that they're doing it. If they don't do their chores, there's consequences for that. I have to make sure that they're keeping on top of their chores. This is an important thing for all kids to learn. It helps them to learn to be responsible individuals, and it just sets up a pattern in their lives of picking up after themselves. It's important for us to learn how to keep our homes nice and neat because we live there with other people, So I make sure that we have a chore chart and everybody knows what their job is. And in that way, that helps us to keep things clean in our home. Tip number 3 is think outside the box and be creative. When you live in a small space and you don't have a lot of money, maybe, you can't always just add on another room or renovate a room or buy another thing that's going to help you, fix the problem. Sometimes you just have to do with what you have and find cheap solutions to issues that come up. I'll give you an example. So this lady that I know, she, instead of using dresser drawers, she buys those sturdy metal shelves. You can find them at Walmart, Home Depot, other places. You buy them in the box and you come home and put them together yourself. I have a couple of those, probably more than a couple of those shelves, and they have lasted and lasted and lasted. So they do cost more than the plastic shelves, even though they're not insanely expensive, but they last you for a really long time. So it's a good investment. So she buys the metal shelves, and then she puts all the clothes in baskets, and she puts the baskets on the shelves. And she said that it saves her a lot of space doing it that way. And she thinks it makes it easier for her to find her clothes because she just looks in the baskets, instead of having to pull out the drawer. So that's one example of something that you can do that doesn't cost too much money. A small investment, yes, but not too much money in order to be creative and make what you have works. A personal example is what you just saw in this video. I took all the children's clothes, I put them in the closet instead. I do not have a ton of closet space. I actually have in that closet 2 clothes racks that I had to buy from Walmart for the girls' clothes because we don't have enough closet space. We don't have tons of closets for all of our children's things, so I had to buy the 2 clothes racks. And then I put shoes in the plastic drawers. I also bought those from Walmart. And we have some shelves, small shelves for shoes in another place. And then for their dirty clothes, I have these baskets that I had also gotten from, I think, Big Lots and Walmart to put their dirty clothes in, and those are stacked. Right? So I have their closet all organized, and then we put the bunk beds for the girls in one spot, and then we bought the futon couches for the boys. Before we bought the futon couches, we had a different couch, and I just had them sleep in the living room on a blow-up mattress and on the couch we had then for a little while until we got the futons. So those are just a couple of examples, one from somebody else, one from my own personal experience of how important it is and how possible it is also to take what you have and be creative with it, to make what you have work. So think outside the box. All right, so that is my 3 tips for the physical space. Now let's get into the 3 tips for your emotional and mental health. It can be hard living in a small home. It can feel cramped, and you may even feel like, oh, I'm living in a prison. It's so small, it's so cramped. There's people, always together in such a tight space. But you know what? It doesn't have to feel like that. Thankfully we have a backyard. The children go out and they play in the backyard. We're not always together in the same room either. We get spread out among the different rooms of our house, and it's not that crazy, usually. Anyways, but sometimes it can feel cramped, and so what can we do to help ourselves be able to deal with those feelings of how hard it is sometimes to live in a small home with lots of people? I found that, number one, it's important to not compare ourselves to others. So I'm really glad that I could show you this video, because I want you to know that I am just an ordinary person. I am just like you. I don't have a lot of money. I live in a very humble, small home. Some people might even call me poor. I wouldn't use that word necessarily, but it is true that we don't have as much money as others. I'm very ordinary, so maybe this video will help you feel better about yourself and your own situation. Not all of us can have these big houses that are like, super nice, and where people go and they buy new furniture every time they move, and then they go and decorate it all nice, with all new decorations that they've bought at Hobby Lobby, or who knows where they go, IKEA. Not everybody can do that. Okay? Let's not compare ourselves with others. Let's not be looking at those magazines all the time and looking at how beautiful those houses look in Better Homes and Gardens and whatever, or HGTV, and thinking, oh, why can't I have a house like that? I've done that, sometimes, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, so let's try to not compare. This is what God has given us, and let's be content with what we each have and make the most of it. Tip number 2 is focus on what really matters. So what's really important? Is it this house, or is it the people in the house? The relationships, right? Think about people in different places of the world who don't even have this much. For me, it's been really convicting to think about, what's happening over in Ukraine. People having to leave their homes getting blown up. They don't have any place to go, except for on the street. They sleep in their car. They have to depend upon somebody else's charity to give them a place to stay because they have nothing. There are many places like that in the world where people, they've had to leave because of war, and they live in a refugee camp in tents. Millions of people like that are living like that in the world. Or think about Africa, where many people live in huts. Here in the United States of America, we have very good lives. Now, not everybody has as nice of a life as I do. I know and I understand that there are, homeless people as well here. But when you compare, in general, the way that we live here in the United States of America with the way that people live in other places of the world, we have it good. So let's choose to focus on what really matters. It's our family, it's our relationships, it's God, it's how our character is growing, how we're learning to be content, how we're learning to have patience, how we're learning to have to trust in God. Those things are important. Those things are what matter. Our character and our relationships and our faith, those things last. Things like houses and cars and clothes and shoes and whatever, those things don't last. We can't take those with us to heaven. All right, tip number 3, make your space beautiful to be in. Make your space beautiful to be in. So even though the most important thing is our relationships with our family, in order for us to be mentally and emotionally sane, we need to feel like we live in a peaceful environment. So I like to try to make my home as beautiful and pleasant as I can in my own means. So we can't, like I said before, we can't go always to IKEA or wherever and buy all these decorations to make everything, so nice. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you have to go to the thrift shop and find something on sale for $3 that you can use to beautify your home, or you need to make it yourself. With whatever you have, use that to try to make your home pleasant. Part of making your home pleasant is like what we talked about before. Declutter it, simplify it, and keep it clean. Right? But another thing might be having some pretty pictures up on the wall, even things that you yourself have drawn. Those coloring books for adults, the one where adults You know, they're really pretty pictures, but you have to like know how to draw in really tiny spaces to make those coloring pages work out. They're not really for children, they're for adults. I have seen some really pretty pages that have beautiful sayings on them, really inspirational sayings. And, you know, if you wanted to color one of those, or if one of your kids wanted to color one of those after they were done, you could put that up on the wall, maybe in a page protector, and it would be beautiful. You could even, you know, glue it on top of like a poster board, a colored poster board, so that it would have a border, and it would look beautiful up on the wall. I mean, there's so many things we can do to beautify our space without spending a ton of money. I mean, in order to do that, it would probably cost you a few cents, maybe like $1, you know, total. It's not going to cost that much money. So I like to put up pretty curtains. You know, you can find curtains at Goodwill. You can buy some for not that much money from Walmart, you know. I like to make a few small investments to make our home look pretty. I think that's all I wanted to say this time. I will leave the comment section open for this video for a while, but as those of you know who have been following my channel for a little while, after the video's been up for a while, I close the comment section because it just gets too much for me to handle to have comments open on all the videos. I just can't keep on top of all the comments and manage that. So for a while, I'm going to keep the comments open, and while they are open, I'd love to hear whatever tips you have for living in a small home or any questions you have for me. Let me also suggest to you that you can head over to my blog, theheavenlyhearth.com, and you'll be able to read a post that goes with this video where I give you more details along with pictures, and you'll also be able to read other posts about living in a small home with a large family there. And I always leave the comments on my blog open, so you can go ahead and you can connect with me there.